Hi, Lisa from Debbie Dyes here. I wanted to talk to you about my class on hand dyeing fabric that covers hand stitching and a teeny bit of machine stitching to give you patterns in your cloth. So I'm going to run through a bunch of samples. Most of them were done on PFD Kona, which is a loose enough weave that it's friendly to hand stitching. And I have a couple samples, I'll point them out when we get to them, that are done on a sheer voile. It's a much lighter weight fabric that you could still use for a quilt if you chose, but it lets you do a little more detailed work with your stitching. So my t-shirt is a not terribly good example because not because of the stitching, which I did, but because of the fiber content in the t-shirt. It's got some polyester and some rayon in with the cotton, and I may not have dyed it dark enough to begin with, because when you're going to do all that work for hand stitching, you want it to be 100% cotton and come out nice and dark like this. I did a whole series of designs in circles, and this is just a simple one. It's just a straight stitch, and it's how you lay it out. So this so let me see, there we are. Same idea, concentric circles with a straight stitch and a whip stitch. Put these up here, see if I can go a little faster. Straight stitch plus tying up. And I saw this in a book, and it's not quite as successful as I would have hoped. It's straight stitch with just the gap right here to leave a line. And since I got into the whole silhouette of the moon, I did one of these. I'm still on the Kona fabric. This was a larger sample where I was trying to get that moon shape arc, again with mixed success. And I said, well, heck, I'll just make it real obvious. And still on Kona, here was a very sliver of a crescent moon with some stars. And if you're into astronomy, sorry, I know this isn't possible, but as a graphic kind of design, it was fun. So that said, here are some more stars, and you can see my shirt through. Good. You can see that this is a sheerer fabric because, look, there's me. But it lets you do some very fine details that are not necessarily going to be as crisp in a thicker fabric like the Kona. This one, oh my goodness, we're just back to straight stitching again, but I just think it's such a neat graphic. Very, very simple. I'm going to have to be making some of these for sale. This was concentric rings of straight stitching until I got to the center where I just bound it up, and not my favorite. Another design out of a book on stitched shibori by Jane Callender. And I actually made a template to put the marks for the stitching. This is a little bit more advanced. And I should also mention this one's back on Kona, no seeing through it. Back to another sheer. And I think that the heart shape was stitched by machine because it's equal weight line on both sides of the fabric. Hand stitching, you don't get that. And last but not least, I said, well, if we're going to put a bunch of shapes and emblems together, why reinvent the wheel? This is one of my stencils that I got from Joyce at TSC, Joyce and Tom. Sorry, Tom. At TSC Designs, and they use them with Tsukineko inks, but they're good for more than just that. So I had a piece of really pink fabric and I traced it on there and ooh, did some straight stitching and some parallel lines of straight stitching and a little bit of whip stitching. And I'm really pleased with how it came out. So those are some of the things that we can cover when we'll have a class on hand stitching for resists in dyeing. Sounds funny, but yeah, stitch it, pull it up, throw it in the dye. That's what's fun. Thanks. Bye.